Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this week's episode of What the Health Just Happened. We talk about all things healthcare, community, business, and life. The goods, the bads, the ups, the downs, the lefts, the rights, and everything in between. We also bring on a variety of guests who I think are much smarter than the three of us. Would you guys agree?
Sometimes.
Definitely more charismatic. Today, I'm excited. It is her second time back on the show. Did you see you were a little nervous the first time you said?
Oh my gosh, yes.
How about this time?
This time feels good.
Way
you're
more
my friend.
Way more comfortable.
All right.
Now. You understand it's very kind. It doesn't matter. Caitlin Burnell, the executive director of the American Heart Association. You've probably heard of the American Heart Association. I'd be shocked if you haven't. Who hasn't heard of the American Heart Association?
Justin.
Gosh, I hope everyone has. I mean, heart disease is the number one killer.
The number one. We're going to talk about that too. Anyways, welcome back.
Thank you.
Let's party.
Thank you.
Right
Can I
off-
just tell you, I have had conversations with other guests on this show, and we all talk about how enjoyable it is. And so just wanted to give you a shout out and say kudos to you for the platform you've created. And I was so excited to come back.
That actually is the best compliment I could ever
Truly.
have. So thank you. These two over here, Justin and Trey, who are a big part of it also.
You guys put everyone at ease, I think. It's nice to stare at your faces in between.
Well, thank you.
It is a must. We have rules for
fun.
the show, and one of the rules is it has to be fun. And when the fun stops, the show stops. So that means a lot. Thank you.
Yeah, I hope I can add a little bit of fun today.
We'll have a good time. We'll definitely make some jokes and talk about some heart health. Let's
Love it.
start right off the bat. October 5th?
Yes.
Let's hear it. What is it? Big
Heart
deal.
Walk. So open to the public. Please come. Bring your kids. Bring your pets. We had a pet goat a couple years ago.
Like a goat farm, or like someone brought a pet
Someone
goat?
brought a pet goat. So,
Okay.
hey, whatever your preference is as far as home pet, they are welcome. October 5th is the American Heart Association's largest community-facing initiative. We're expecting around 15,000 people
Whoa.
Jeez.
at the Jacksonville Fairgrounds. So the festival opens at 7:30. The walk starts at 9 o'clock. There is a 3-mile loop and a 1-mile loop. And my favorite part of the Heart Walk, the 1-mile loop, is for our survivors, the opportunity to honor those that have survived heart disease or stroke. We also honor those who have unfortunately lost their lives to either disease. But as the survivors cross that finish line, they ring a bell.
Like one of the big bells?
One of the big bells. It's sponsored by Miller Electric Company.
They're going to say Miller
Shout out.
Lite. I was like, hold on a second.
Or them too.
That would go against our heart
Yes.
health
Fair
messaging a
enough.
little bit.
Miller Electric's a great local company. So 15,000 people.
15,000.
October
Yes,
5th.
October 5th. We have Camille Harrison with Guidewell chairing our Heart Walk this year. So
Okay.
shout out to Camille and Florida Blue, our Life is Wise sponsor. And we're grateful for over 70 companies that are supporting us and that will be present that day.
That's great. Do you do the walk?
I do not. I am running around
Oh, you're
making sure
crazy.
that everything is
Probably walking more than the actual
logistically
walk.
happening. But it's a really special morning. So we're counting down and are grateful for the support. Of course, every dollar raised, so there's fundraising that leads up to the Heart Walk. It's pouring back into our local community. It's advancing research to cardiovascular disease. It's advancing medical breakthroughs. And it's a really special day where you see our First Coast community come together to prioritize health and heart health specifically.
You know, we love doing this show. It has kind of naturally turned into just Northeast Florida, which I'm completely on board with. That's where we live. That's where we love. So what kind of dollars are you looking at this one event? Like how much funds have been raised traditionally? Is there a goal this year? And where's that going back into the community?
We have a goal of $1.5 million for this campaign
Let's go.
For the walk?
for the walk. And let me tell you, we are nearly at 1.2.
That's awesome.
What is that per walker then? Is that almost $1,000 per walker? I don't know.
Don't try to do
good.
math,
I don't
Trey.
know.
Don't try to do
15,000
math.
or 1.5. Whoops.
You got a calculator over there.
I should.
Are the funds so they're most of it's probably company based sponsorships?
Sponsorship, individual fundraising. So within our companies, we have coaches and we have walkers and we have teams. And so it's really incredible to see local companies come alongside us. They do internal fundraisers that are really exciting. And, Heart Walk is really around employee engagement, employee wellness. It prioritizes that physical activity, choosing the healthier option, not smoking. It's really about, whole body, whole picture of health and wellness and what that looks like. And outside of the U.S. government, we are the largest organization funding cardiovascular research. But locally, we are fighting heart disease and stroke through the education and prevention of both diseases. And we do that around initiatives including nutrition security, tobacco and vaping cessation, maternal health, CPR training, and blood pressure control. And so the dollars that we raise locally, we are able to pour back into this community. And so to give some examples of what that looks like, for nutrition security, we're able to donate commercial refrigeration units to local pantries.
That goes a long way.
And ensure that those pantries are stocked and those refrigeration units are stocked with fresh produce. We are able to donate blood pressure cuffs to local clinics so that new moms are able to go home and monitor their own blood pressure in the comfort of their own home. We are doing CPR trainings everywhere. And in addition to that, just this past week, actually, we had a meeting with Duval County Public Schools around their cardiac emergency response plans with their AEDs.
Let's save that because I do want to dive into that. We talked about AEDs, how important I think CPR training. Like, there's no reason that the majority of the population that are adults should not be CPR certified. I think it's a one-day class. You just never know. And I'm happy to share a couple stories where it's like come into play in a normal environment. I feel like you were chopping at the bit to say something.
I was just about to say guilty. I'm not certified.
And CPR?
When we first moved into this building, they did have training, but that was probably like 5 years ago. So that was the last time I did.
We can come in and do it. We can do a demo.
Somebody.
The American Heart Association, come on in here and Cox Media Group set up a CPR day. That's not a bad idea. They do a lot of great community-facing events. Yeah. If nothing else, let's connect some people here, right?
We come in and we show the demonstration on a mannequin.
Yep.
The kits actually, so the CPR kits, you can purchase on our website, but we've been able to donate those across Northeast Florida. So we've given them to local military families, local NICU hospitals. And this year we are really focused on placing cardiac emergency response plans, including a CPR kit to local youth sports leagues. So
let's go into it because I like to have a prep call to get some topics here. And we talked about this. I use the example at my kid's school. This is probably just the ex-nurse first responder. I know where probably every AED is on campus. It's just walk around like it's there. So if something happens, so you're creating these plans through Duval County Public Schools to create an emergency response plan for cardiac arrest.
yes.
Why? What's been happening to the youth, sports specifically?
So if I may share a story that our team heard about collectively about a month ago. There is an individual by the name of Matthew Mangine. He unfortunately lost his life to sudden cardiac arrest. Upcoming junior in Kentucky, soccer player, was on the field for a game, went into sudden cardiac arrest, and lost his life. It took EMS 12 minutes to arrive, but the really unfortunate circumstance about the story was that there were 5 AEDs on campus that not one person went to retrieve. And so the sense of urgency there is it's all good and well to have an AED on campus. And of course, that's law to ensure that for every school that has athletic activities, legislation has that AED on campus. However, what is the protocol in place for when an unfortunate circumstance happens? Who's retrieving it? Who's administering the AED? And so for our team, we then did some more research. Matthew Mangine, in honor of him, his family now has a foundation and does a lot of work within Kentucky to raise awareness about the fact that every 3.5 days in the United States,
This is crazy.
we lose a student athlete to sudden cardiac arrest.
Every 3.5 days?
Every 3.5 days, we're losing a high school athlete to sudden cardiac arrest.
This is go ahead.
Is there a reason why that wouldn't be talked about more? Because this is the first time I've ever even heard of that.
I think so. The unfortunate circumstance of Damar Hamlin, right, Buffalo Bills player that went into sudden cardiac arrest.
Got an interception last night.
Yeah, shout out. Hey, super awesome dude, by the way.
So he has since partnered with the American Heart Association. And NFL players, arguably some of the most healthy, fit, I would say.
Yeah.
Humans
And-
walk
I was
through
gonna
it.
say, yeah.
And for that to happen, I know we locally then had an influx of companies asking us to come in and
for
do CPR
sure.
demonstrations. I just think it created this sense of urgency to say, okay, if that can happen to Damar Hamlin, what could happen to my colleagues? What could happen to my family member? And I think it prioritized, okay, one, we have the responsibility to know how to perform hands-only CPR. We have a responsibility to have an AED within every local company, business, entity. We have the responsibility to have a plan in place. God forbid something occurs. But then we also have a responsibility to ourselves to choose those healthier options and to make lifestyle changes.
We'll definitely dive into that too. I guarantee it. But you've heard the saying, like, I'd rather have it and not need it than need it and not have it. That's like an AED. They're so inexpensive now. You can probably get them donated a lot of times. Like I feel like every corporate office, definitely like you said, schools, youth sports, there's just no reason not to have it. This is my opinion, but just there's such easy access. But more importantly, if you have it, where is it? How do you use it?
And that's what I was going to say is like, again, 5 years ago when they showed us how to use it, cool. I've seen the guy come in and check it, make sure but I mean, I haven't touched it since then. So it's like if something were to happen, that's a...
This is good to talk, like you're the group to talk about it, because then my next question is how you're conducting research, like how funds are going to research for the American Heart Association. I never know which direction it's going to go. We're going to go about youth sports here. I do want to talk about cardiovascular disease. But they're dummy proof. AEDs, I would say, are dummy proof. You open it, it says stick here, press button. Like, anyways.
If that's the case, is there a reason why it's not taught in schools? Just how to...
It's starting now.
Okay.
Yeah, high school age kids.
Yeah, we are seeing that increase. And, we say as the American Heart Association, we're committed to protecting the hearts of those that you love. And that includes your kids, because heart disease can affect anyone at any age. And I think now more than ever, people are aware of the fact that it is the number one killer. It takes more lives than all forms of cancer combined. And honestly, prior to working for the American Heart Association, I wasn't aware of that fact. And in particular, when we think about women, I thought for sure it would be cancer, but it is heart disease. And so I then think personally, my dad had an unexpected open heart surgery. It'll be 2 years in October. And I like to think, years ago, there was someone that either donated to the American Heart Association, was within the American Heart Association as an employee, was doing a research study because of funds given to the American Heart Association that in turn saved my father's lives.
I love that story.
And countless others that have been impacted, and then the families as well. I mean, so many of our events, including the Heart Walk, like we were talking about earlier, that's an opportunity for families to feel supported and to look around and see if people and have the understanding that we're all in this together. We're all in this fight together. And, there's strength in numbers. And so together we can make a significant impact for our
15,000 is a
local
large
community.
number too.
It's a lot of people. It's really exciting to see.
So again, we'll just say it, October 5th, 7:30 it starts, 9 is the walk.
So 7:30, the festival will open. 9 o'clock will be the start of the walk. We do a presentation at 8:30, so welcome you to come between 7:30 and 8 o'clock.
So just say this again, cardiovascular disease is the number one kill. Like combine every cancer, the top 4 cancers, cardiovascular disease number 1.
Is that
car wrecks?
Is that
trauma.
new, or has that been for...
It's been longer than we want to admit. It's been
Yes.
like at least 15 years.
How much of it is self-inflicted?
So 80%.
Yeah.
Dang.
80% of cardiovascular disease is preventable. And so, go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No. This is going to lead into what you're saying. Are you familiar with Dr. Peter Attia?
I'm not.
So he wrote a book called Outlive. It's like one of the biggest gurus in the health and wellness space. As soon as you look him up,
I need to know
like,
then.
Again, the most popular podcast, the guy is on another level. In his book, he talks about that basically cardiovascular disease is an infant disease, meaning that like you shouldn't even have it. There should be 1 out of every 10,000 people that have it because it is preventable. Sorry, that was just kind of teeing that up too.
No, thank you. Need to write that down.
I'll
Outlive. That's right? The book?
Outlive, yeah. Incredible book.
So yes, 80% cardiovascular disease is preventable. And so that is why, along with the awareness of CPR, AED, the local community initiatives that we're focused on, we're trying to increase that fact and awareness and, equip our local community just with the basics of knowing your numbers, consulting with your physician, getting physical activity and whatever that looks like to you, choosing the healthier option, even if it means parking your car, further in the parking lot to take some extra steps to go into the store. Yeah. I mean, truly those things matter. And I even think about it for myself. I mean, I am out in the public quite a bit, but the days that I'm sitting at my desk all day long, I finally realize, okay, I haven't stood up. I haven't gotten fresh air. I haven't taken a walk. I mean, those things matter. They matter for your mental health as well. And so, we want to also ensure that we are equipping our local community because we want the healthy choice to be the easy choice. And so that's where our local community initiatives really come in as well.
So this might be an interesting one, but if it's 80% preventable, when are most people probably doing the most damage in their life? What age category is when these people are kind of just letting it rip and then
I bet you there's
damage?
stats out there. I would guess personally it's late 20s through late 30s.
And is it predominantly like drinking and eating?
So let's talk about smoking.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
That was my next question. Smoking cessation.
So we just this past year have really been trying to advance in the tobacco and vaping cessation space. And I want to mention vaping as well, because we really do not know at this point in time what the long-term effects are of vaping. But vaping, and I would say the tobacco industry in particular, is targeting our youth. It's the cool thing to do, right? And I would say that it's the now youth epidemic, truly. And I may have shared this on the last podcast with you, but they actually have hoodies where the strings of the hoodies are a vape at the end. And you have odorless.
Justin's like, I got one of those.
Let me get on
my hoodie. No.
Oh my gosh.
And I just wanted to pinpoint one thing in particular when we talk about Life's Essential 8. Not smoking is one of those, along with sleep, along with choosing healthier options, physical activity, etc. But it's really important when we think about this next generation to make sure that our students, our schools, our parents are well equipped with the necessary information and cessation opportunities for them. Cessation opportunities, excuse me.
That's
I was
a
like,
tough word.
I said that twice. I was like, that doesn't sound right.
Cessation is it.
So we have collaborated with Tobacco Free Jacksonville, and we expanded students working against tobacco programs. We doubled their footprint this past year in collaboration with TFJ, Tobacco Free Jacksonville. And we also had our first ever youth tobacco and vaping symposium at Florida Blue this past May. And it was really incredible to see representation from schools. We had parents, we had healthcare providers, and we even had students in the room. And so I think we're really starting to have that conversation, have the tough conversation. While we don't know just yet the long-term effects of vaping, we know it's harmful. We know tobacco has been significantly harmful to our health and our heart health for years. And it's important that we prioritize this, and we really are as a local American Heart Association.
Let's go good news too, because isn't it going down? The percentage of kids that are vaping and smoking has gone down year over year for a couple of years.
So smoking, yes. Vaping,
still no.
So we are now, it's 1 in 5 high school students vape.
Really?
It's probably
Get it together, high school kids. Get it together.
They're bored. They're got to be doing it out of boredom.
Well,
and then you get hooked on it.
I think too, it's, if others are doing it, why not? And but I think if they were aware of the harmful effects to their body, it would make them pause and reflect on what they're participating in.
Do you think that has to do with like the young cardiac problems that are happening? Like, is that one of the biggest factors? I know you mentioned you're focusing on it. We don't know the long term, but it does feel like, and it might just be the Damar Hamlin effect, but it does feel like those stories are talked about a lot more, or you hear about a kid collapsing a lot more than, even just a few years ago.
Right. I can't say, I don't think I'm the person to determine whether that's the case. I do think it's a factor. Do I think it's the reason for the influx of sudden cardiac arrest? I can't say whether that is the case. I think there are so many factors when it comes to our heart health. And then unfortunately, sometimes there are just freak accidents that happen, right? And then it's what do we do after that to take care of our bodies, to prioritize our health? We talk often with our Go Red for Women campaign about women prioritizing their health. But I think it's really a message for all people. How often do we feel terrible, but we're like, we'll wait.
Figure it out tomorrow.
Yeah, I don't want to go to the doctor. Let me just see how I feel in 48 hours. Well,
I'm not going to fill my blood pressure medicine. I'm not going to check my cholesterol this year. These guys, I'm calling them out.
I mean, honestly, this is my day in and day out, and I have to remind myself to do the same. So, it's important that we're prioritizing ourselves, right? But then it is a message for parents as well to make sure that you're doing the same for your kids, and just the awareness of what they're currently being exposed to, and how we as a community come together and ensure that we're supporting one another in our heart health journey.
You used a term, the Damar Hamlin effect. That's like a real term now. What happened on that football field, you saw the reaction time, how people reacted, and it put a spotlight on something that people would have otherwise not talked about, thought about. So sometimes those bad things really kind of end up being a good thing, especially in this case, because he just had an interception against our Jaguars.
I do think, he's an example of someone that takes a really devastating situation and using it for good. And so I admire him for the platform that he has to come alongside our mission of being a relentless force for a world of longer, healthier lives. And truly, going around the country, and he's right there giving CPR demonstrations to local high schools. And really, we've also been able to collaborate with the NFL in a really meaningful way on the importance of CPR awareness and education. And so, we celebrated 100 years this past year. And as I think you were
last time you were on, it was close to 100. We were just celebrated.
Yes, we were just there.
Centenarians. That's a healthy heart if you live to 100 years old.
Oh, gosh.
So, small plug for my great-grandmother.
Yes.
Okay, she turns 102. Next month.
Shout out. We love
Okay,
shout outs. That's my next question. Give your shout outs.
Can I just tell you though? My mother asked her what she wants to do for her birthday. Jump out of an airplane.
Oh
no!
Dead serious.
She's my hero.
Are you gonna do it?
Rock star.
Is she doing it?
Yeah.
Well, they had a meeting and everything, and they were gung ho. They were like, "You can do it today." And my mom's like,
man.
"Let's talk to the family."
Right now.
Let's get this approved by everyone.
But she was about it. She would have gotten up on that plane if my mom let her.
Awesome.
So.
Okay, any more
Rock
shout
star.
outs before? Because I think second half, women's health, AFib month, Stroke Awareness Day, we'll hit those things too.
Oh, well, shout out to the First Coast American Heart Association team.
Yeah.
We are a small, but I like to say mighty group. And
Yes.
I'm so honored to work with them every day. I can't believe we call this work. It really is such a privilege and gift to be able to do what we do. So.
Outstanding. Caitlin Brunell, Executive Director of the American Heart Association. Catch us on the second half. That's What the Health Just Happened. Welcome back to the second half of What the Health Just Happened. Good news is if you're on the radio station, you missed the first half. You can catch the first half on your favorite podcast platform under What the Health Just Happened. If you're on the podcast, we don't have commercials yet. If you guys want to sponsor the show, we'll take whatever you'll give us. I'm kidding. What do we talk about? American Heart Association Executive Director. Is it at the Northeast Florida branch? How is that broken down, by the way?
So we're the First Coast. So
First
we cover 5 counties.
Caitlin Brunell, the Executive Director of the First Coast American Heart Association. We talked a lot more about youth stuff than I anticipated we would, right? Sudden cardiac arrest for athletes. Can't forget the Heart Walk, October 5th, starts at 7:30. Walk starts at 9. Ringing bells, bringing goats. A lot of fun stuff. Somebody better bring a goat.
Somebody could bring an alligator.
They could actually. Okay, healthy or not healthy? You remember how to play this?
Yes.
Speed round. Healthy or not healthy? Grown men playing flag football.
Not healthy.
Oh, Eric, sorry.
Healthy or not healthy? Pet goats.
Healthy.
Healthy or not healthy? Planning a wedding.
Healthy.
Healthy or not healthy? The reception.
Healthy.
Oh, that was
I
hesitant.
got you on camera.
Those are so. I love the receptions. Like you're dancing.
We got to give some context to this, right?
give it.
Yeah.
So I got married 6 months ago.
Congratulations.
On the date. Thank you. And we were joking earlier because the last time I saw you, I was engaged,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Well, I did see, we passed
Yes.
one another.
Correct.
But, and we woke up the next morning and my husband goes, I really think we could have done without the reception.
Oh,
I said,
don't say that.
I don't think we should get divorced in less than 24 hours. Just kidding.
Bad look.
Oh man.
Right?
That's not
Oh
good.
gosh. So yes, planned a wedding and I'm all in with work. So it was really hard finding that balance as most do.
Yep.
The to-do list was just very long. And I think, what really matters, the focus was there. We were all about the ceremony and the reception, that's the one moment in your life where everyone you love
Yep.
is in one room. And so we will never forget that. But yeah, it's been a year. It's been a big year.
Did you eat food at your reception?
So we had a pizza truck and
smart play.
I love
Smart.
pizza. So listen, heart health, it's all about balance. Okay.
Yes.
You need carbohydrates.
That's right.
Every once in a while for a healthy diet. And so I did get some pizza. I had to.
Good. I just remember my wife, like we had all this food and she was so excited. It was so much fun. The next morning, she's like, holy crap, I didn't eat any food. It's like, you didn't eat any of that food? And apparently that happens pretty frequently where
I think so. Yeah.
the brides all of a sudden.
We didn't have time. We missed because we were saying hi to everybody.
Yeah, you're
so we
shaking
missed it.
hands, you're
Yeah.
walking around. Not healthy. That's not healthy. Okay, healthy or not healthy? Atrial Fibrillation Awareness Month.
Well, the awareness and the month is healthy, but atrial fibrillation, not healthy.
Do you guys know what AFib is?
No, and I
love
couldn't
these
spell
guys.
that. Oh my gosh.
It's an abnormal heartbeat, right? Your how your heart's
quivering.
broken up. Your atrium beats at a weird rate, leads to strokes. But just because of how blood clots are created, what's the month? September's almost over.
I know,
By the time this airs,
I know.
it might be over.
But did want to make mention of it. September is AFib Awareness Month, and you said it. So with AFib, you're 5 times more likely to have a stroke. And so we, this past month, in support of HCA Healthcare Florida, who is our national Getting to the Heart of Stroke sponsor, we've been spreading that messaging about AFib because not as many people are aware of the repercussions of having that. So we just want to reiterate the importance of consulting with your physician, knowing your numbers, knowing your family history, and prioritizing your heart health.
You said something. I put this in quotation marks. When you know something is off with your body, get checked.
Listen
right?
to it.
If you feel a flutter in your chest consistently, I want to say if you're constantly out of energy, but that's if you have young children, you're constantly out of energy. So that's a horrible example. But so atrial fibrillation, my grandfather had it. He had a few. I mean, again, he took medication. He had an ablation for his heart, but he ended up passing from complications of a stroke.
sorry.
He was. I mean, again, he had a great life. He was 90 plus. But anyways, atrial fibrillation awareness month, September. September's almost over.
I know. Okay.
What's in October?
October 29th is World Stroke Day.
World Stroke Day.
Yes.
We're not celebrating strokes, by the way.
We're not. So again, it's that awareness. Do you know the signs and the symptoms of a stroke? Anyone here?
I do. I
Eric
know them
does,
all.
not us.
Okay, the
Can you guess?
acronym. The acronym is FAST. So FAST.
Facial
You got
droop.
it?
Good.
Yep.
Yeah. A.
A.
Articulation.
Okay, so the S is slurred speech.
Oh, okay.
So you've got
Oh,
that.
okay.
So
Okay.
A is arm weakness. So any of those symptoms, a combination, T, time to call 911. And so with it being World Stroke Day, we want to make sure that people are aware of the signs and we continue on, throughout the year, just making sure that people are aware of, you know,
Signs
things
and
that
symptoms.
are, signs and symptoms that are affecting our bodies, our hearts. So October 29th.
I love that. I want to go
today.
back to it too. I think this is a great opportunity to say, like, recognize these signs and symptoms. So facial droop, if, and again, you can have heat stroke. It happens to younger people more than it should. You're more likely if you have atrial fibrillation, but facial droop's a big one.
And is that like a specific side, or that could be
It
either side?
depends what side of the brain the stroke's on.
Okay.
So if you have a stroke on your right side, you're going to have left side
Left side
facial
droop.
droop,
Okay.
but they won't know that till after. So arm weakness, right? If your whole body can have a droop to it. Slurred speech is a huge one, and I don't mean after 12 beers, Trey. I'm talking about like slurred speech
No, that's
elsewise.
how the speech
then-
is how they knew my grandma was having one, because it was you couldn't tell what she was saying.
The most important thing is time to the ER. There is a very narrow window to get someone to the ER to get treatment for a stroke, and if you get it's called the golden hour. If you get them to the hospital in a golden hour, like your likelihood of having no permanent deficits, it's a big deal. So World Stroke Awareness Day, that's
October 29th.
October 29th. Spread the word, know the signs and symptoms, time to the hospital.
I was thinking, just sitting here, in our conversation today, how each one of us have been able to make mention of a family member who has suffered from heart disease or stroke. And it just hit me, just in this room alone. Just that's why we're here, right? That's why we're discussing this. It's so prevalent. It impacts families every day. And so just appreciate the opportunity to share further. And I know we all can relate to it. And we're on a mission to change that narrative, right? Change that reality.
Yeah. I love, we say it too, and people are asking, like, what's your audience? I don't care if one person hears this and learns something, even if it's you two. Sometimes I'm like, I'm just talking to Trey and Justin.
Hey, man, we love
it
it.
for us.
Yeah, we love it.
I
but
learned
again,
just as
it's-
much sitting here.
It's spreading awareness. It's talking about it. And that's, like you said, the American Heart Association, the First Coast American Heart Association, small but mighty. I love that. Let's talk about women specifically, because I think that kind of, everyone thinks like, oh, men, blood pressure, heart attacks, issues. No, it's not just men. What you got?
Yeah, so I didn't know this before I started working at the AHA, but heart disease takes more lives than all forms of cancer combined. So when we think about women, I think most people would think that cancer is the number one killer, and it's heart disease. And women carry so much. We
love this.
often we often say, make sure you're at least on your to-do list, right? And if you are on it, oftentimes you're at the bottom of it between job and family and your partnership and everything else that you're managing, your social calendar, groceries, just the normal day in and day out of your livelihood. And you own that, right? As a female. And we want to make sure that women are prioritizing themselves, and in turn, they're prioritizing their health. The amount of stories that I've had with women about, oh, I didn't go to the doctor because I had this really important meeting that I need to get to, and I decided that I would try to get into the doctor later on the afternoon or the next day. I know of a story of a mom who was in the middle of her daughter's wedding, is having heart attack symptoms, and is going, let me just get through this ceremony.
Don't say anything.
Don't say anything. I can put it off. This is about my daughter's day. And of course, the intention was all good and well. But I feel that there are women listening to this that can recall a moment of, wow, in that moment, I should have prioritized my health. I should have taken the necessary steps to take care of myself.
I love a specific thing you said in the call just now, right? One, make sure you're even on the priority list, right?
Make
'Cause a
the
lot of-
to-do list. At
yeah,
least be on it.
your list of priorities, you better be on the list. But I think being selfish is not selfish. Does that make sense? Like taking care of yourself. How are you going to take care of other people? But
Yeah.
I love that. So what do you recommend? What do you, like all the women listening out there?
So one of my dear friends, actually, we were texting 2 weeks ago, and she had pain in her chest, and she had it for a day, didn't say anything. She mentioned it the second day, and she's texting me, and she knows that if she's texting me about it, I'm going to tell her to go to the doctor, like right now. Whatever you're doing, drop it, go. And I think she texted me because I think she needed to hear it from me.
That's definitely a call
Needs
out.
someone
Like,
to, like,
yes.
She knew that I would say, this is a priority.
Go.
Do it for yourself. Do it for your son. do it for your family. And it ended up being stress. So thank goodness. But I want to make mention of that as well.
Yes, please.
Let's talk about mental and emotional health. And that affects your overall health, that affects your heart. Brene Brown, I'm really inspired by her.
She's a badass.
And I saw this video.
Sorry, I was
You're good. Sorry, I didn't jump, so you're fine.
I saw this video clip of her on Instagram, and she was talking about this system that she has with her husband. Okay. And I'm going somewhere with this, so hang with me. But they have a percentage system. So she'll walk in the door and she's like, I'm an 80 today. And the idea is that they're both giving 100% every single day to one another. But she'll walk in and she'll say, I'm an 80. And he's like, okay, like, I'm glad you're feeling good today, but I got your 20. Well, there are some days where she may walk in or he may walk in and go, hey, I'm at a 35. And the partner's going, okay, I'll carry your weight. I've got the rest of it. And I think that's important to do, not just in your partnership, but I think it's important to do with other people. And I was
friends,
your friendships.
Oh, yes.
And I was thinking about this with work as well. And I think one way that we internally prioritize our own health and mental and emotional well-being, I think about my colleagues, and we're a small team. And so we're very open with one another. You know, we kind of all know each other's business. Mm-hmm. But there's definitely this open dialogue of, hey, like, I'm struggling this morning. I've got this going on at home, or this is really stressing me out. And we as a team or as an individual that you're expressing that to is like, I've got it. I've got your 80. If you're at a 20, I've got the 80.
Hashtag healthy.
Healthy.
I love that. And again, I think men are probably more notorious than women, although not necessarily is sharing that. It's like, oh, I'm not telling anyone, like, I'm toast. I'm not bringing my A game. I'm not saying it. I'm keeping it to myself. And then back to you said women specifically, like prioritizing yourself, I think it's a must.
I keep thinking about, just because I was flying this past weekend, how they talk about pull the airbag over your mouth first before you help anybody else.
I love that metaphor. Yeah. Always put the oxygen mask on yourself first.
It's a good reminder.
So, man, again, we never know which direction we're going to go. Let's go back.
Sorry, I really took you down a rabbit hole, didn't I?
Brown, we got we'll go back to the American Heart Association. So how do people find you? How can they contribute? How do they get more involved? How do they volunteer? Where do they write the check to?
Oh, well, if you all would like to come to the Heart Walk, we would love to have you. Open, free to the public. You can register if you would like at firstcoastheartwalk.org.
Firstcoastheartwalk.org.
That's right. But we have a lot of resources at heart.org. Great place to go as a start that will really allow you to dive deeper into messaging around nutrition. You can find specifics on heart attacks, whether it be a SCAD heart attack. You can find information on AFib. You can learn more about World Stroke Awareness Day and what we're doing as the American Heart Association to really increase that awareness. So there's a lot there. And I also would encourage you to connect with our local office. You know, if you are an individual that would like to come alongside us and volunteer for an upcoming event, if you're a survivor that would like to be connected to other survivors, or if there's a way that we can honor you and provide support, we would love to do that. And of course, you know, we are a nonprofit organization. And so if this is a mission that is meaningful to you, perhaps you have a family member that has unfortunately lost their life to heart disease or stroke and you want to give back, we would love to further that conversation. I think one thing that really sets us apart is that we want that conversation, that collaboration to really be meaningful. And so yes, we would love the support and the donation, but we also want to ensure that it is aligning with your core priorities, whether as an individual or a company. And so I welcome that conversation and to further that together.
Two things. One's a comment, and then's a question. Recently, we're asked, our company, to do stuff all the time for a variety of reasons. Maybe it's the show, maybe it's donate, but there's 3 ways any one of us can give back. There's really only 3 ways. Mm-hmm. You can give back financially, you can give back through time, and you can give back through awareness and spreading the word. So right now, like, I wish my pocketbook books were larger so I could stroke checks, but I think spreading awareness is a way to give back. And then, of course, time is a big one also. corporate sponsorships, right? You mentioned a lot of businesses get involved. What does that look like? Maybe there's some specific companies. You mentioned Miller Electric Company that's done a great job.
Yes.
How do companies get involved? Maybe they do want to bring the American Heart Association out. What's that look like?
So we want the collaboration and the sponsorship to be mutually beneficial, right? And so a lot of companies that support us, we then in turn give CPR demonstrations internally. We also have very robust conversations about the company's priorities and where we can align their support to what we're doing. So we talked about Heart Walk. Heart Walk is a part of Heart Challenge, which is one of our core campaigns. We spoke about prioritizing women's heart health, and that is a part of our Go Red for Women campaign. We also have a Heart Ball campaign that it is a gala that we have in the spring, but the intention is to really go beyond the ballroom, and the focus is on CPR this year, so to really bring it full circle. And so, yes, attending the walk, supporting with a table at the gala or at the luncheon is really special, right? It's a moment for us to celebrate our collective efforts and to all be in one room together and recognize the power in numbers, the strength in numbers, and what we've done together. But our local community initiatives, we want companies to come alongside us around maternal health, nutrition security, tobacco and vaping cessation, blood pressure control, and CPR. And so depending on what your company's community priorities are, those pillars, we want to align you in that work. So for example, our Heartball chairs are Anthony Hucker, who is the CEO of Southeastern Grocers, and Elizabeth Thompson, who is the founder and CEO of Intuitive Quest. And Southeastern Grocers, of course, is prioritizing nutrition security. And so through their sponsorship, we were able to donate a commercial refrigeration unit. So that's just an example of a way that we're aligning on our like-minded priorities, and we're furthering the education and prevention of heart disease and stroke, but we're doing it in a way that really means the most to that individual or company.
That was a good answer, by the way.
Yeah.
You nailed it.
Yeah.
Did you prepare that before you came on? We didn't even talk about that before on the call.
My everyday is raising money, so I feel like that's just ingrained.
Softball. You mentioned that you crushed that answer. So the Heartball campaign is a big one. There's essentially maybe 1 to 5 people that are raising funds. It's a challenge, so you can raise the most funds.
So that actually, we do have peer-to-peer campaigns. So honestly, there is a spot for you if you want to come alongside the American Heart Association. We have fundraising campaigns. So with Heartball, it's called Leaders of Impact.
That's what it is.
Yes.
I've gotten that email a couple times.
It launches October 17th. It's a 7-week blind competition.
It's pretty sweet.
So the idea is you have 10 nominees and everyone has a goal, but you don't know the other nominees' goals. And you are fundraising, but you do it in a way that fits your lifestyle. So people will do pickleball tournaments. They'll have a bake sale. And you are raising dollars for the American Heart Association in a way that's meaningful to you. The winner is announced in December, and then they are recognized at Heartball in March. And we're still recruiting.
Spread the word.
Yes, if you would like to be a part of Leaders of Impact, and then we do the same thing for Go Red for Women. We have Women of Impact and Teen of Impact. So really neat opportunity to have our local teens get involved.
I have to bring this up because we're Team UNF here, University of North Florida. The 3 of us went to school. I'll give Josh Baker a shout out. You two had chatted. So in February, it's February 6th, right?
Yes.
I love this. I love what's happening from this introduction.
Okay, well, to me, it's all about relationships. And so kudos to you because you connected me with Josh. That allowed us to have this conversation. But Osprey basketball, there is a women's game and a men's game on February 6th. And it is going to be an American Heart Association night where a portion of the ticket sales will go back to the First Coast American Heart Association. There will be co-branded t-shirts that are red with the American Heart Association and UNF. And Josh did say, all right, I think we can get the players to wear them during warm-up. So we are honored to be able to collaborate with UNF. President Lamayam serves on our board of directors. And actually, on November 22nd, we are doing our Steam Goes Red event at UNF. So we do a lot with UNF throughout the year. So shout out to your school.
That's right.
Yeah,
Swoop. We like swoops. We got a couple minutes left here. Anything? I mean, there's so much stuff. There's all these statistics I could read, and I'll share certain stuff in the show notes. Registration for this. Anything you want us to share in the show notes, but anything. What did we miss? what's something like, I've got to talk about this?
Well, I just made mention of Steam Goes Red, so let me give some context to that. We have 150 to 200 middle school girls that come out for a full day of STEAM-related activities. So
Science, technology, engineering, art, and math, by the way. I'm just,
Way to
these
go.
guys, man.
He's gotten good.
He knows his
Hot,
stuff.
He does.
Steam from a shower or something. I was like, I don't understand.
2 total benefits. What's water at 211 degrees? Really hot water.
Oh.
What is it at 212 degrees? Boiling water, which creates steam. That's our whole company motto, by the way. Sorry.
Oh, I didn't know that's where you got the name from.
See,
I learned something
There we
from
go.
here.
I didn't even know that.
Go back to the steam event.
So Steam Goes Red. So after Heart Walk, Steam Goes Red on November 22nd at UNF is our next event. Really neat event to see those middle school girls there. Companies come alongside, they bring mentors. So it's this whole day where we hope that they leave feeling empowered to pursue a career in a STEAM related field. So yes, the A is for arts and architecture, and we're looking forward to that.
God, that's sweet. Anything at UNF, I'm all about.
Yeah, buddy.
There.
Man, we got 2 minutes left. What are we missing here? I like shout outs. Any more shout outs?
Ooh, you put me on the spot.
I know. It's
Shout
tough.
out.
That's hi, Mom. I love you. Mine's always to my mom, by the way.
No, let me just, I want to thank the individuals and companies that are coming alongside us for Heart Walk. We were talking about time. Time is valuable. And there are many local leaders, volunteers that have given their time, energy, and talents to our mission. And we couldn't do it without the support of this community. The mission is valuable. The need is there. And as a team, I mean, we every day, I know I can speak for all of us, when we constantly speak about and reflect on just the overwhelming, generous support of individuals, companies, organizations that support us. And we won't stop until heart disease and stroke is eradicated. And we are grateful for the opportunity to work with so many that believe in the mission, believe in the work, and just want to say thank you.
Man, she nailed that one too.
Yeah.
You
Let's
practice this? Do you practice these answers
you know
in front of
what?
the mirror? Because
I think you can do anything when you work hard and you care. And
is she not going to be in politics eventually?
No, I don't know if I want to be in politics.
You definitely
but
don't.
I care deeply, and
love
so what I'm giving is not lip service. I truly
Oh, it's real.
believe in what we do, and I feel honored to be a small part of it.
So thank you for joining a second time. You coming back a third time?
Please.
Okay, it's definitely happening.
You'll have another life-changing
That's
thing
right.
to
I
report
don't know,
out
man.
on.
We've had 2-3 Peters so far. That was great. Hope you enjoyed yourself. Again, my least favorite part is when we run out of time. Caitlin Brunell, Executive Director of First Coast American Heart Association. That's what the health just happened.